Hello students, I'm Mr. Troxel and welcome to 6th grade math. Today we'll be working with equations and inequalities. This will include solving one-step equations and graphing inequalities on a number line. Let's get started. The sum of x plus y is 68. If x equals 19, which equation can be used to find the value of y? Well, first of all, the sum means two numbers added together. In this case, x plus y. Here they're telling us x is 19. And we know the sum of both of them is 68. So 19, which is x, plus y, which we don't know, equals 68. So now the question is asking, which of these selections here, A, B, C, or D, is the same as saying 19 plus y equals 68? Well, if you look right over here to D, you can see D says 19 plus y equals 68. We're just writing out the question they gave us, and we're substituting the 19 in for the x. How'd you do on that one? That one wasn't too bad. All right, let's go on to the next question. Name added 30 to the number of fish Connor had in his fish tank, for a total of 52 fish in the tank. So name added 30, Connor had some number that we don't know, and the total number of fish is 52. Which equation can be used to find the original number of fish Connor had in his tank? Well, first, what do we know? We know name added 30. So there were 30 right there to the number of fish that Connor had in his tank. We don't know what Connor had in his tank, but it's some number of fish. So, and they added it. So let's do plus n for some number of fish. And we know the total right here is 52. So we know that the 30 fish that name added plus what Connor already had equals 52. That's what they're telling us. What we need to find out is which of these equations on the left, A, B, C, or D, tells us the same thing that we just wrote, 30 plus n equal 52. If you look down here to D, we've got n plus 30 equal 52. And we know that we can do 30 plus n or n plus 30. Either way, you can reverse the numbers in addition. We're still going to get the same answer. So letter D, 30 fish that name had plus the number that Connor already had equals 52 is the answer to this question. How'd you do on that one? All right, let's try the next one. What is the value of the variable in the equation below? Here we have 0.8 times y equal 8. Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to find out what y equals. Right now, y doesn't equal anything. We know that 0.8 times y equal 8, but we don't know what y is. You can see here that 0.8 times y equals 8. So we need to split those apart. 0.8 is multiplied to y. In order to figure this out, we're going to need to divide, which is the inverse operation of multiplication. We need y to just be by itself, just one little y. So what can we divide 0.8 by in order to make it a 1? Any ideas? Well, we can always divide a number by itself to make it a 1. So let's rewrite our problem here. 0.8y equal 8. And let's divide 0.8y by itself, 0.8. And whatever we do to the left side, we have to do to the right side. So we're going to divide both sides by 0.8. All right, so let's do our math. We've got 0.8 divided by 0.8. Those are going to cancel out, and it's just going to be y. Then we've got our 8 divided by 0.8, and that comes out to 10. So now we've got y, we'll bring our equal sign down, and we've got our 10. Y equal 10. And as it turns out, 10, right, times 0.8 equals 8. So let's look over to our left side where we have all our options. Which of these options, A, B, C, or D, is the same as saying 10? Well, right here, letter B, 10.0, that's what we're looking for. So this answer boils down to 0.8 times 10 equals 8. And in an equality equation, both sides have to equal the same number. On this side right here, on the left side, if we multiply these together, we get 8. On the right side, if we bring down the 8 over here, we have 8. Do we have an equality? Do we have a balanced equation? With equalities, both sides need to be balanced. And in this case, They are. All right, that one was a little tough, but good job if you got it. Let's go on to the next question. It says, the number line below shows V, the amount of money Mandy needs to buy a new volleyball. Which inequality represents the value of V that are shown on the number line? All right, first of all, if you see right here, the number line starts with a big circle on 30. And then it's darkened in going in this direction. So we know from looking at this, the answer is going to have something to do with 30 or more. So at this point, the answer is V is greater than 30. But if you look at the actual little dot here, it's filled in. When the number, the little dot on the number here, which is 30, is filled in, that means not only is it greater than or less than, depending on the direction of the arrow, but it means it also includes that number. It's equal to also. So what we're saying here is V, the amount of money she needs to buy that volleyball, Mandy, is greater than or equal to $30. So she needs at least $30, which includes the number 30 or more, to buy this basketball. So which one of these answers over here to the left say the volleyball is greater than or equal to $30? Well, if you look over here, letter B, it's looking pretty good. It's not letter A, because letter A says the volleyball is less than or equal to $30. And if you look at the direction of the arrow right here, it's pointing to the right, which means it's greater than. So the A, less than, is not going to work. If you look at C, C says the volleyball is greater than $30. That means it does not include the 30. If the circle right here, right, is not filled in, right, that little black circle, if it's just an outline and the black part in the middle isn't there, then it is just greater than $30. But in this case, it's not just greater than $30, it's greater than or equal to. And here, V is less than $30, that would be the arrow going in the opposite direction. So for an example, this thing says 30 with a number line, and then it's going this way. And currently, it's all colored in. So that means it includes 30. But if it said 30 with a number line and going this way, and it was circled but not filled in, right? If this wasn't filled in, if it was just circled, right? That would mean it's greater than 30, but doesn't include 30. Here, filled in, it means it includes the number that it's circled around. Here, it means it does not include the number it's circled around because it's not filled in. That's the difference of those dots on the numbers. So the answer here is letter B, V is greater than or equal to $30. How'd you do on that one? These little graphing number line things can be tricky, but if you understand the circle, whether it's open or closed, means equal to or just greater than or less than, you'll get it. We'll see some other examples. Don't be discouraged. Let's go on to the next question. It says, John is making a doghouse to put in his backyard. He uses more than, that's the clue right there, more than 24 feet of wood for the project. He doesn't use at least 24 feet of wood. He uses more than 24 feet of wood. So 24 is not included in the answer. It has to be more than. Which inequality represents the amount of wood John uses to build his doghouse? So if we use X for the amount of wood John uses to build his doghouse, we know that it needs to be more than 24 feet. So X has to be greater than 24 feet. So if we look over to the left, which one of these answers over here say X is greater than 24? Well, if you look at letter A here, that looks pretty good to me. B is not correct because it says B is exactly 24. And if you look over here, we said that he used more than 24 feet. C is not correct because C says less than 24, which would mean he used less than 24 feet of wood. And we know from the problem that he used more than 24 feet of wood. D is not correct because D says he used greater than or equal to 24 feet of wood for the project. And we know from reading the question that he used more than 24 feet of wood. He did not use 24 feet. It had to be more than. So there's only one answer for this, and that is X is greater than 24, which would be the letter A. And if you were to put that on a graph, right, you would have 23, 24, 25. You would have a circle on 24 and an arrow going greater than to the right, and the circle would not be filled in because it does not include 24. So By showing the circle on the 24 but not including it, it means it has to be more than that number. It could be 24.0001, but it can't be 24. So anything more than 24 would be included in this answer. Okay, how'd you do on this one? Did it get easier this time? All right, that one wasn't too bad. Let's go on to the next one. The graph shows the inequality of n greater than 20. How many solutions are there for this inequality? All right, first of all, we've got n is greater than 20. That means it does not include the number 20. If it included the number 20, there would be a line of greater than and equal to, but it does not show that. It says greater than 20. So that line for the equal to isn't there. So we need a number that's greater than 20. Now, if you look at this graph right here on the top where they put the number line, you'll notice they did this correctly. They're showing you that n is greater than 20. They've got the little circle here around the 20, and then they've got this line here colored in, right? So n is greater than 20. So it could be 25, 26, 27, 35. It could be 100. It could be 200. Anything greater than 20. How many solutions are there for this inequality? How many options do you have for an answer? Pick any number that's greater than 20, and that's the answer. So, are there 3 solutions? Are there 4 solutions? Are there 20? Are there infinite? How far down the line can this number line go? Where does this thing stop? Well, the answer is, it doesn't. So how many answers are there? How many possible answers are there for n is any number greater than 20? Well, the answer is D, infinite. It'll keep on going and numbers never stop. That's the answer. So when you get something like this and you have an arrow like that and you have an inequality where you have not equal to, but you have a greater than or less than sign, those numbers will just keep on going. An infinite number of possibilities. That's the answer here. How did you do on that? All right, that one wasn't too bad. Let's go on to the next question. Which number makes this inequality true? 6 times some number squared is less than 60. Let's look at the answers. Whenever I don't know something like this, I try and see what the 4 options for my answers are, and I start plugging those into the question to get the right answer. That's one of the things I love about answering math questions. One of the answers is right there, and you can kind of just plug them all in. First, let's start with the number that's squared. S is some number squared. Let's take the first answer, letter A. Letter A says 3. Well, let's do 3 squared. 3 squared is equal to 9, because 3 times itself, which is what squared means, is 9. Now let's plug 9 into the question. We've got 6 times 9 is less than 60. Well, what is 6 times 9? Well, 6 times 9 is 54. 54 is less than 60. Is that correct? Is 54 less than 60? Well, that is true. 54 is less than 60. Now let's try letter B and see if that one works right here, all right? We'll take S squared and we'll make S equal to 3.5. So let's do 3.5 squared. Well, what is 3.5? If we times 3.5 by itself, we get 12.25. So let's take that 12.25 and put it into this question here. 6 times 12.25, right? Is that less than 60? Well, 6 times 12.25, that's 73.5. Is that less than 60? It is not. That doesn't work. So 3 was a number that did work. 3.5 did not. It was too big. So the answer has to be 3 or less. And out of these answers here, we've got 3, we've got 3.5, we've got 7 3/4, and we've got 10. There is no number less than 3. 3 out of these 4 answers was the only number that worked because that gave us an answer of 54, which is less than 60. How'd you do on that? This one's all about order of operations. All right, let's go on to the next one. Lori wrote the expression 4x minus 3 to represent the number of video games she owns compared to Nathan, where x represents the number of video games that Nathan owns. Which situation is represented by the expression? So what we're saying here is x represents how many video games Nathan owns. So that's Nathan right here. And then we know that Lori owns 4 times that minus 3. So she owns 4 times what he owns. So we're going to put that there. Minus 3. So which situation is represented by the expression? Are we saying that A, Lori owns 3 less than 4 times the number of video games Nathan owns? Well, she does own minus 3 less than 4 times what he owns. So to me, that sounds pretty good right there. Let's go to the next one. Lori owns 4 less. No, she doesn't own 4 less of anything. She owns 3 less, so that's wrong. Nathan owns 4 less. No, he doesn't. And then letter D says Nathan owns 3 less than 4 times the number of video games Lori owns. No, she owns 4 times the number he owns minus 3. So the only possible answer here is A. And what we're saying here is Lori owns 3 less, which is what that 3 means, than 4 times, right here, the number of video games Nathan owns. How'd you do on that one? That one wasn't too bad. If you just lay the question out the way they gave it to you, it kind of just puts itself together. Okay, let's try this one. Which value of y makes the equation below true? Y plus 63 equal 119. Well, in this equation, we're going to use the subtraction property of equalities. And what that says is we can subtract any number from either side of the equation as long as it's the same number and the equation will still be true. So let's write out the equation. Y plus 63 equal 119. I can subtract a number from both sides of the equation. That's one side, there's the equal sign, that's the other side. I can subtract any number from both sides of the equation, and the equation will still be equal or balanced. I'm going to subtract a number that I want to get rid of. You see here it says y plus 63. I want it to just be y equals something. I want to get rid of that extra number that's part of the y side of the equation. I want to get rid of it completely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract it out. Now, if this was a negative number, I would be using positive 63. But since it's a positive 63, I'm going to use negative 63. The way I make this number 0 is to add the opposite of it. The opposite of positive 63 is negative 63. And since I'm doing that to the left side of the equation, I have to do the same thing to the right side of the equation. Remember, the subtraction rule of equalities says I can subtract any number from both sides of the equation, and as long as it's the same number on both sides, the equation will still be balanced. So now let's do our math. We've got y, and now this is gone. 63 is gone because I had a positive 63 and I added a negative 63. It doesn't exist anymore. I'm going to bring my equal sign down, and now I'm going to do my math over here. I've got 119 minus 63, and that's going to give me 56. So y equals 56. That's my answer. Let's check it and put it back in the original equation. If I take this 56 and put it back into the original equation, 56, which is the y, right, plus 63, do I get 119? Well, as it turns out, 56 plus 63 is 119. So the answer to this question is 56. Y equals 56. And I use the subtraction property of equalities to figure that out. Let's go over to our answers. Do you see one that works? Letter C right here, baby. C, 56. 56 plus 63 is 119. How'd you do on this one? All right, let's go to the next question. Let's try this one. This question says 5 over 8 plus w equal 29 over 8. Let's first rewrite the question. 5 over 8 plus w equal 29 over 8. And we want to figure out what w is. This question looks a lot more scarier because it's a fraction, but it's the exact same process. We've got this letter and some numbers attached together. The letter, the variable, we want by itself. We want w to equal something because then we'll have our answer. But right now, w is hanging out with this 5 over 8. So that's not going to work for us. What we want to do is remove that 5 over 8 and move it to the other side. Remember the subtraction rule of equality is we can subtract any number from both sides of the equation and the equation will still be valid. That number doesn't have to be a whole number. It can be a fraction. So in order to get rid of that 5 over 8, we're going to subtract 5 over 8 from both sides of the equation. So we're going to subtract it from the left side, and then we're going to subtract it from the right side. So now let's do our math. We've got 5 over 8 minus 5 over 8, so that's gone. We're going to bring down our w, bring down our equal sign, and now we've got 29 over 8 minus 5 over 8. Well, in order to subtract fractions, we need a common denominator, which we have. So we can just subtract across the top. 29 minus 5 equals 24 over 8. Now, 24 over 8 is not the last step because that is an improper fraction, plus it can be reduced. What is the biggest number that goes into 8 and 24? Well, it would be 8, of course. 24 is a multiple of 8, so 8 goes into both of them. So if we divide both sides by 8, 8 divided by 8 is 1, and 24 divided by 8 is 3. And 3 over 1 is the same thing as saying 3. So W, in this case, equals 3. Let's come over here and see what we have. If we look over here, do any of these answers say W is 3? Well, letter B right there is looking pretty good to me. So 5/8 plus 3, or 3 over 1, equals 29 over 8. And you can try testing your answer by putting that back in the equation. You can do 5 over 8 plus 3 over 1 equal 29 over 8 and see if that's true. Well, in order to add these two numbers, we need a common denominator, and that would be 8. So we would make this 1 and 8, and 1 times 8 is 8. That's how we got that. 3 times 8 is 24. So now we've got 5/8 plus 24/8 equal 29/8. And 5 plus 24 absolutely is 29. So that works out correct, and that answer is valid. How'd you do on that one? Please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe, or I'm giving you detention. There's the bell. We'll see you next time.